if anyone hasn't seen recently, we've done a lot of work with updating swim lanes where we've been able to kind of slice and dice that data. As you can see down the left side, you can now look at it from an owner's perspective, priority, different types, release, your sprints, and even your epics. Now I'll give a quick demo of a few examples of how you could leverage those. And as usual, you still have your filters across the top with, if you want to, filter down the data based on sprints, priority type, and kind of cross section data, you can do that as well. But one of the newest features that we've been rolling out is this idea of kind of honing in on these data points. And as an example, some new features, let's maybe think about from a sprint perspective, and let's maybe think about a daily stand-up. If you're coming in as a dev manager and you're working on something, you may want to be able to see who's working on what. So right now we have that ability to see across the board, but also new feature is clicking on these columns, these names, and later you'll see sprints. I'm able to see what people have in their queue. I can roll through that, or maybe I want to look at something like a release. As we're getting through, I think this is actually turning into a really powerful view for someone who may not be in the daily occurrence of the team, might be thinking about what release is coming up and wants to know, well, what features are in there. A really good example of this is, we're getting ready to roll out 2.3. You can see what was maybe in the feature. So now if I click on that, I can kind of scroll through rather than go through each individual dot across the board here. I can kind of get an example of each stage, what was in there, what was maybe left behind, what could be moved over to a future release. I think this is another example where we're kind of streamlining those data points. You can kind of get an example of how long those things were there as well. Let me just go through that as well. So you can see that we're showing epics. We know what we're going to be rolling out for 2.4, but you still have that ability to also go through and per individual dot kind of get a glance at that. So it's just a different way of looking at that data, but provides a, based on how you want to look at that, I think it gives you a good way to do that. What's also really interesting is, sprint view, same thing. We can see what's in the sprint. For example, here's sprint 13. I want to be able to see all of those at one glance. I can kind of scroll through, see what's in our backlog, what's in progress. In this example here, there's 12 items. We're working on those. Some stuff's taking a while. Maybe I want to focus in on that, find out what's going on with those. Some stuff's moving a little quicker. Again, it's a great overview without going through each individual section. And then as really powerful, I think, as well, is thinking about this from an epics point of view and thinking about it from planning. You may want to start to understand, what's in scope for your epics, what stories roll up to that. And again, same option. I can see exactly what stories are building up into these epics. And then if I'm interested in down the line, maybe this auto gen or something like create a metric based on gates, I want to watch that a little closely, and I have a lot of epics, I can pin that, and now that's up towards the top. So I'm able to streamline that as well and make that easy to use. So a lot of really good stuff around our swim lanes. And again, I think based on your persona, based on who you are and what you need that data for, I think we've been able to kind of cross-cut that data and make it easier to understand and monitor.